Now, Kenya's High Commissioner to Tanzania, Chirao Ali Mwakwere, is currently being grilled by detectives from the Anti-Corruption Commission over graft. Our reporter Patrick Amimo is at Integrity Center and joins us by phone. Amimo, why is Bona Mwakwere being grilled? What are some of the accusations that have been leveled against him?
Thank you so much, Najma. These allegations that are facing Chirao Ali Mwakwere, it appears they happened in 2006, where it's alleged that there was an interministerial committee which was formed to dispose of non-strategic assets belonging to the Kenya Railways Corporation. And some of these assets mentioned included houses which were worth 5 billion shillings. And from the understanding, it was that the houses were to be sold to employees who are occupying these houses under the tenant purchase scheme. But then it's alleged that Ali Mwakwere, that time as the transport minister, did use this position to deprive these employees of these houses. And in these accusations, is also being enjoined with former Cabinet Secretary Francis Kilemia and Investment Secretary Esther Koimet for having used their positions to deprive these former staff of the Kenya Railway Corporation of their houses. These offenses, these allegations happened in 2006, but the matter came to the Anti-Corruption Commission early this year, in January this year. Najma? And
is it just Mwakwere who is appearing before the EACC today, or do you expect somebody else?
Indeed, from reliable sources, I learned that the Public Accounts Committee chairperson, who is also in the National Assembly, Ababu Namwamba, is expected to appear at the commission later in the afternoon to answer to allegations of some of the members of the committee having been mentioned of having received some money to influence the writing of reports touching adversely on some members. You remember this matter divided the House, where it was claimed that some members were asking for kickbacks to influence reports, especially those touching on graft. And the Parliamentary Accounts Committee, as an oversight committee for Parliament, its members are implicated, and the Speaker, Justin Muturi, ruled that these people should step aside from that committee until investigations are over. So Ababu Namwamba, as chair of the committee, is expected to come to this commission to be interviewed by detectives to shed more light on whether members received kickbacks or not, and what amount of kickbacks they are. Najma?
Thank you very much, Patrick Amimo. There, we'll be keeping an eye on that story, and we'll give you details in our subsequent bulletins. Now, moving on, Meru Governor Peter Munya says he's ready to face the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission anytime when he's needed, saying that he's not corrupt and he does not support corruption. Speaking at PCA Cunit Church in Igoji Menti South Sub-County, the governor said he was ready to cooperate with the EACC in finding the truth. Munya said the allegations that he used 280,000 shillings to service his own personal vehicle was absurd. The Meru governor said he will never step aside as some people are demanding him to do, adding that Constitution does not state anywhere that a suspect should resign or leave office until the court of law finds such suspect guilty.
Kwa hiyo mambo ya kuwatoa wasiwasi toka wapi? Mimi ni wakili, nimesomea hiyo sheria na nielewa. Kwa hiyo sidamaishi na kitu kidogo. Na hakuna mahali sheria ya Kenya inasema mtu ambaye amechaguliwa na watu kama anashukiwa. Kwa sababu hiyo ni kushukiwa. Sio kusema umefanya, ni kushukiwa. Na mtu anakushukiwa. Kuna sheria mahali inasema utoke kwa kazi yako.
Still on matters corruption, Elgeyo Marakwet Speaker Albert Kochei presented himself before the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission in Eldoret after being accused of misappropriation of funds. This is after stepping aside as Speaker and official at the County Assembly. Speakers Forum, Kochei has been named in the infamous list of shame accused for misappropriating public funds as the Elgeyo Marakwet Speaker. Accompanied by his lawyer, Mr. James Njuguna, Kochei distanced himself from the allegations.
can confirm that the Speaker has never received any communication, either by way of notice or by way of summons from the Commission or any other government agency relating or touching to the alleged misappropriation of public funds. He has waited to be summoned. He has waited until today when he said he must avail himself voluntarily. And we have come without any coercion. He has come voluntarily because he's a law-abiding citizen. He is a leader as a speaker of a county. He knows the citizens of that county are looking upon him to see his reaction. And his reaction is that he would wish that his name as a speaker, his name as a person, is not maligned, is not defamed.
Remember, there are over 175 individuals named in the EACC report and are being investigated by a multi-agency task force comprising of officers from the DPP's office, Director of Criminal Investigations and EACC officials. Moving on now, Education Cabinet Secretary Jacob Kaimenyi says there is need to evaluate school head teachers and principals from time to time. Speaking during the launch of East Africa Education Forum, the Cabinet Secretary said that teachers were represented in a meeting that informed the controversial policy on head teachers. He has dismissed claims of having responsibility over teachers, saying that the responsibility of teachers lies on Teachers Service Commission.
We feel that we must empower our education leaders or managers of our education institutions so that on top of things in terms of leadership, and this is what the British Council is doing. You want it in no uncertain terms. That is being done. The teachers, they need to be given resources for them to do that which they must do. And that is precisely why I said earlier on, this financial year, we increased capitation by 39% for primary schools, by 33% for secondary schools, so that we can address the issue of instructional materials.
Now, a majority of Kenyans say that corruption has increased over the past year. This is according to a report released by the Afrobarometer in conjunction with Transparency International. The report reveals that nearly 1 in every 3 Kenyans has had to pay a bribe at least once in the past year. Interestingly, the report shows that most did not report such cases due to fear of victimization. The report ranks the police service as the most corrupt body, followed by the Land Ministry and the Judiciary. The report polled 2,397 Kenyans between November and December last year.
A majority of Kenyans do not report these incidents of bribery. And 2 reasons tend to explain that. Number 1, they fear the consequences. Remember, many of those who are reporting these have participated in giving the bribe, so they are afraid of the consequence. And secondly, there is this general perception that nothing will happen. And as a result of that, they do not see the point of reporting it.
Now, it has been 12 days since the Garissa University college attack in which 147 students died. The world has been mourning with Kenya, and Kenyans continue to mourn with the families that have been affected. In Meru, it was yet another emotional send-off for one of the victims of the attack that will go down in history as the one of Kenya's worst. Betty Chalo reports.
Jeff Macharia Minjire is one of the victims of the Garissa University College massacre. The last time his family saw him, he was cheerful and full of life. Those are the memories that his family will forever remember. But for now, in this day, the sad reality dawns on them that Jeff is no more. In the emotional send-off, hundreds of mourners, including his colleagues, flocked in Munyange village to bid farewell to him. 19-year-old Jeff was the only child According to his father, he was the pride of his family, having reached university level in his education. The speakers, including his colleague Onesmus Mwangi, blamed security agencies for the massacre of innocent Kenyans, adding that prior to the attack, more than 2 security alerts over a possible terrorist attack had been issued, yet nothing was done to avert it. Area MP Meru, who attended the funeral, asked the government to beef up security in all learning institutions in the country to deter similar attacks. Various countries, including Belgium, France, Italy, South Africa, United States, Morocco, among others, have had citizens hold vigils in honor of the victims of the Garissa attack. Betty Kyalo, KTN.
The Presbyterian Church of East Africa has called for a military-like training for all youth preparing to join tertiary institutions so as to ensure they are ready to confront the enemy in case of Al-Shabaab attacks. PCA moderator David Kathanju has said that the training will enable the youth handle security threats and prevent loss of lives. Kathanju said that it is high time the government returns the modules where Form 4 leavers had to go through the National Youth Service and other training before joining the university to ensure they attain the basic life skills. On his spot, Kirinyaga County Governor Joseph Ndadi called for the establishment of the county police force under the command of the governor.
The time has come, we throw away fear, we stand firm for our nation. We cannot be refugees in our country. For students, we need the government to revisit the time they were taking the student to national service or given a kind of military training for self-defense. And the time has come, the way the things are in the country, there is no more patience. The patience is running out. Rather than waiting for another thing, let the student be trained for self-defense. It is time now or never, because they are saying it is not this or that, but our people need to defend themselves.
Moving on to Meru now, a suspected thief this morning escaped death narrowly in Meru town as irate members of the public wanted to stone him to death after he was allegedly caught stealing a car radio from one of the vehicles parked in the town. The suspect is said to be part of a cartel that have been breaking into cars. The vehicle owner said he had just parked his car and was called moments later by people who had caught the thief red-handed. The mob chased the suspect and recovered the radio before descending on him.
Gari nilipaki na nikaacha kama nimefunga. So I don't know what he used to open. Josa nikaitwa kwa ofisi na hao jamaa kwa around hapa. So wamemuona tu akiepa akitaka kutoroka. So ndio hiyo tumeshika.
Moving on to business now, the Capital Markets Authority is seeking a review of the capital markets regulations of 2002 in dealing with the public offers delisting and suspension from trading at the Securities Exchange. This follows growing cases of companies that have delisted from the bourse following a change in shareholder structures. The regulator says it is aware of the gaps and weaknesses in the existing framework on suspensions and delisting of shares listed at the NSE, adding it had inconvenienced both anchor investors and minority investors in the past. The review of the laws will seek to restore market confidence by introducing stringent requirements for companies wishing to delist. In the past, one-year companies such as Access Kenya and CMC Holdings have delisted from the bourse following a change in shareholding structure where minority shareholders are bought out. Ravi Pingo has also announced plans to delist this year, with the majority shareholders expected to make a bid for all the company's shares. The review will also address the questions of how long the companies can remain suspended from trading. Kenya will for the first time participate in the world travel market as it seeks to restore travel confidence to the country. The Kenya Tourism Board is stepping up efforts to market the destination by participating in key exhibitions, familiarization tours with trade and media from key sources markets, and engaging the market to reassure the country is open for business. This follows dwindling international travel arrivals to the country on the back of insecurity-related concerns. This has seen key source markets like the United Kingdom issued travel advisories against Kenya that has been seen tourists shy away. The three-day event, to be held in Durban, South Africa, will give KTB the opportunity to interact with travel companies as well as woo potential tourists. KTB will also use the platform to attract African tourists to the country, insisting it had remained a largely untapped market. Time now for a short break, but I will be back with more news. Welcome back. To matters beyond our borders, Benin is demanding an official explanation of the torching of its embassy in neighboring Gabon during unrest that broke out after the announcement that a senior Gabonese opposition leader had died. Opposition supporters rampaged through Gabon's capital, Libreville, setting fire to cars and buildings, including Benin's embassy, as word spread of the death of Andre Mbaobame, a long-time Gabonese opposition figure. Obame, 57, had suffered from serious health problems that had all but stopped the charismatic figure from appearing in public for the past 3 years. However, some protesters accused Gabon's government of casting spells on Mbaobame, who died on Sunday. Mbaobame left Gabon in 2011 after declaring himself elected head of state, refusing to recognize the 2009 election victory of the President Ali Bongo Ondimba.
Je peux laisser soulever la pancarte.
To sports now, tens of Kenya's top athletes will be forced to rely on the country's athletics governing body for career management after the suspension of the Rosa Associates and Valere Sports Management. The two firms that manage the largest number of Kenyan athletes will be out for 6 months to pave way for investigations on the increase in number of doping cases in the country. Now, meanwhile, AKE Chairman Isaiah Kiplagat has stepped down for 3 months to campaign for the IAAF Vice Presidency post in the forthcoming elections.
After months of accusations and pointing of fingers towards the foreign agents in regards to the increased number of doping cases amongst Kenyan athletes, Athletics Kenya this afternoon suspended 2 giant athletes' management from the country for a period of 6 months to pave way for investigations.
The two that we have today decided that we put them aside until the investigations are complete are the Rosa and Associates and the Gerald van der Veen, so that investigations can be carried out, and when the results are out, we'll decide whether they come back or they continue doing bidding agents.
The Rosa Associates Management Company, that's under the stewardship of Dr. Rosa and his son Federico Rosa, has been in trouble in recent times, especially after 2 of its high-profile athletes, Matthew Kisori and Rita Cheptoo, failed drug tests. With no evidence presented of the management's involvement, Kiplagat admitted the doping menace is a complex issue. Kiplagat could, however, not reveal why the Volare Sports Management was suspended. Volare manages high-profile marathoners like Geoffrey Mutai, world record holder Dennis Kimeto, and former record holder Wilson Kipsang, who is the Professional Athletics Association of Kenya chairman. PAC has been on the forefront to push for urgent solutions to curb the doping menace in the country.
What we are lacking in Kenya is the awareness. The awareness is what we are really failing on that. And when we create that kind of awareness to our athletes, you find that they will be very cautious when it comes to taking drugs. If anybody comes in and say, okay, you have a problem in your knee, please let me give you this medication for injury, they will be aware to make sure that that kind of drug is tested before you take it.
The suspension comes just 4 months before the World Athletics Championships, and athletes under the 2 giants will have to look for alternative management firms or rely on the federation.
And therefore, working with the IAAF and the meat promoters like the Diamond Leagues and so forth, to agree on the modalities of how we are going to manage these athletes so that they don't miss competition.
Meanwhile, Isaac Kiplagat stepped down from the Athletics Kenya helm for a period of 3 months to concentrate on his IAAF vice presidency campaign. He appointed retired Major General Jackson Tuwei to take charge in an acting capacity.
If then I succeed in my venture, then those who are acting will be confirmed. Even if I don't, I'm sure they will be confirmed because it may not be necessary for me to come back anyway.
Kiplagat will be vying for the IAAF vice presidency in the forthcoming elections before the World Athletics Championships in Beijing.
Now, 8-year-old Kariobangi Sharks hopes to dine with the big boys of Kenyan football come 2016 season. The side is now in FKF Premier League and has put necessary measures to mitigate the side from financial problems bedeviling many clubs in top flight. And FKF Premier League, Hassan Juma reports.
That some FKF Premier League clubs are struggling is not in doubt. The wage bill coupled with administrative costs are weighing these teams down. Top flight teams are equally fighting to stay afloat.
Next, in between the bones.
We also to know how Kariobangi Sharks has managed to remain in existence under the current turbulent times.
Lazima tumalize kwa top 6 because venye tumesikia top 6 ndio maybe watashikanishwa na hii ligi ingine kakuwa ligi moja.
Towards the end of last season, Sharks, who are then participating in the National Super League, laid down a 1-year target of playing in the country's top league. In order to do this, they recruited well and also signed Michael Amenga, who holds a KNVB Level B license as head coach. Aware that the team needed a good playing ground to achieve their ambition, the management signed a memorandum of understanding with Utalii College that would allow them to upgrade their facility at a cost of 1 million shillings.
It is really motivating for players when you get maybe your allowance or anything.
The side has managed to be a conveyor belt of sorts, with the likes of Patila Amato being a product of Kariobangi Sharks. According to team captain Eric Juma, the presence of an experienced coach and other changes in the team are a motivating factor for these players.
We bring in a more experienced coach, and I think that is a plus for us.
Standing vile iko tofauti wapata ni point moja. Ile timu iko juu sana iko juu na point 3. Compared na Premier League unapata timu iko juu yakoga labda around point 6 ama 8.
For now, they are content on participating in the FKF Premier League but have set their eyes on dining with the big boys of the Kenya Premier League next season. Hassan Juma, KTN Sports.
Now, Liverpool closed within 4 points of fourth-placed Manchester City with a 2-0 win over at Anfield. The Reds were comfortable throughout, with lighting up the famous Old Ground with a sensational first half opener, with the second goal coming 20 minutes from time.
Raheem Sterling, at the odds with the club over a new contract, cut inside Ryan Tyler to dispatch a smart, calmly finish past Tim Krul to open the scoring.
He's still going and he's scoring.
Newcastle United had their own chances to level the score but failed to beat Mignolet between Liverpool posts.
Obeyed to strike it and strike it well. It was a difficult ball.
The Reds pressed on searching for the second goal, and Lucas' header was well dealt with by Tim Krul.
Oh, but for Tim Krul, they would have done.
The chances kept on coming for Raheem Sterling, and he squandered a golden opportunity to get back of the net.
Oh, and Sterling's going to get the second one. No. Wow.
Newcastle United had a strong penalty appeal turned down before the break, but Allen's goal was enough to seal Brendan Rodgers an important 2-0 victory. The results leave Liverpool 5th in the Premier League table on 57 points, with 6 games of the season to go. This is 1 point ahead of Southampton in the 6th position. Manchester City sits in 4th on 61 points, with third-placed Manchester United a further 4 points ahead.
Moving away from sports now, Kenya Human Rights Commission is demanding the reinstatement of Muhuri and Haki Africa organizations' accounts. The human rights body claims the procedure that was used by the Inspector General of Police, Joseph Boynet, to include the two organizations in the list of entities suspected to be associated with Al-Shabaab with no investigations is suspect. The commission also wants the government to cancel the plans to close down the Dadaab refugee camp, stating that the Deputy President William Ruto is disregarding Kenya's obligations under the regional and international law.
The Kenya human rights community is extremely concerned about the decision to freeze the accounts of two human rights organizations, Haki Africa and Muslims for Human Rights, Muhuri, in the aftermath of the terrorist attack in Garissa. The Inspector General has listed 5 organizations under a list titled, quote-unquote, list of terrorist organizations. These are Al-Shabaab, Mombasa Republican Council, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, that is Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, and Boko Haram. The same Gazette notice contains a longer list titled, quote, list of entities suspected to be associated with Al-Shabaab. Muhuri and Haki Africa have been listed here. As peer human rights organizations, we have worked closely with both Muhuri and Haki Africa in our attempt to counter violent extremism and improve security at the coast. Both organizations work openly and peacefully and have advocated for constitutional means of ensuring countering terrorism.
Well, that's it on Newsdesk this afternoon. My name is Najma Ismail.